I figured I'd take like 20 minutes and try to talk about my book that's coming out on May 1st. Um, it's basically started out as a lyrical book for over 400 songs I've written since 2006 about. And then as it grew, it kind of transformed into kind of an exploration of where all these songs came from and why I wanted to do this in the first place. It kind of like I've been trying to write songs since like high school, college. Nothing good ever came from that. Nothing from that time period ever made it into this book, did not make it into this book. The first time I made something that I thought was valuable was probably around 2006 or 7. So that's where I decided to start this. But ever since then, 20 years ago, I've been writing lyrics and songs, mostly on the music side. I'm not a lyric person, so it was tough to get lyrics done for like over 400 songs that I've come up with. Usually I would just jam on my acoustic guitar and I would come back weeks later and listen to the recording and see if I could find something cool. And then I just cut and paste stuff together and do stuff like that. That's the main process. Sometimes I would have a song in my head already, and that would make it a little bit easier. And I'll just make a quick little demo of this is the verse, this is the chorus, and blah, blah, blah. Rarely did I have like songs like that. Sometimes a little spark would happen driving to work or driving home from work. Now I'll just record little lines into my phone and stuff. A lot of times little ideas came from that. Whole album ideas came from like one line of one song. Why did I decide to write this book? It wasn't really a decision I made. In 2020, things got weird. I had like a mental breakdown completely. And from that point, I just started writing. I wasn't really writing much song-wise until 2020 happened. 2018, I tried to write a screenplay. Around the time the Eagles won the Super Bowl, I was like all motivated. But I wasn't writing any songs or anything like that. 2020, I started writing like crazy, man. Writing songs, started writing all the screenplays that I talked about earlier. And it kind of just ballooned like that. That was my entire life. And it continued till now, really. Today is April 10th, 2025. And it just ballooned like that. And seriously, it's been like a nonstop ride, pretty much. I leave this apartment like once a week, only to get groceries. It's been like that for a while now. I lost my job. Well, my employer's gonna, of course, not agree with this statement, but I was wrongfully terminated in 2021. My job of 11 years, I was wrongfully terminated. And ever since 2021, when I got that luxury of having time, even though I lost my money and livelihood. And ever since I lost my job, 2021, probably around this time of year, I ended up, the next day I started writing a screenplay. And over the next like year, I wrote 15 screenplays like that, maybe one a month almost on average. First I was like, oh, I could do one screenplay every 3 days. And yeah, that didn't work out. The more I had to go back and edit stuff, I would say it takes about a month to do like a 50, 60 page screenplay and polish it and everything. If you're working on it constantly with nothing else to do. I don't have a family, I have nothing, so I got all this time to do this stuff. I understand it's hard for other people with other responsibilities. So 2021 was pretty much spent doing that. I wrote all the screenplays and I tried to network myself. I'm terrible at that, but I tried to. It was on like Coverfly and Talentville and all these other sites where you could read other people's scripts and share ideas and rate other people's stuff. And it was good. It's a beneficial experience and it helped me. Like I took some courses in college back in the early 2000s, but I never was devoted or passionate about it until 2020, 2021, and up till now. It's really been a nonstop process. But I really just want to focus on the book I wrote because that's coming out on May 1st. And it's got every song I've ever written even from this last 2024. There's a couple albums I wrote just last year. So it's all over the place. There's folky music, there's 80s hair metal, there's rap songs, there's country, folky stuff, Americana stuff. Because I don't want to limit myself. I'm all about the numbers game. Like, I'm not a salesman. I sold life insurance for maybe a year, so I was terrible at it. But they said, it's a numbers game. The more people you call, the more chances you have to make a sale. The more sales you make, the more referrals you get, and then you build your network like that. So I'm all about the numbers game. Yeah, there's some truth in quality over quantity. I agree with that. Like, I intentionally keep some of my albums done like 6 songs or 8 songs because I don't want to put filler songs and stuff like that. But this isn't like something I've done. I didn't write these 400 songs since 2020. This has been going on since 2005, 2006, around that period. So I have a total of 54 or 55 albums, I think. 54 albums in this book. And over 400 songs. Maybe closer to 500. I didn't do a count after I was done. The last few months, I've just been editing the book over and over again and over again, probably four or 5 times. I want to do it maybe one more time and then release it on May 1st. It's an ebook. It's over 1,000 pages long. It sounds like it'll be hard to read, but it's not. Half the book is lyrics. If you enjoy song lyrics, if you enjoy poetry, and you can kind of get through those parts easily. And all my lyrics are available for free on Substack. On Medium, there's some. I've just started on Medium. The reason I put this in a book form, well, number one, it's easier just to read it in one PDF file instead of clicking back and forth on every album I put on Substack. And 2, I made it to a more personal look into my songwriting and stuff. Like, yeah, I realize people who do books like this are actually like known artists who have songs on the radio or something. So yeah, the marketing angle is kind of tough for me because nobody knows who I am or whatever. But the reason I wrote this book is so I could do that. Like, I could introduce why I'm doing this and all that stuff. So I wrote a preface before every chapter. There's a preface before you get to the lyrics that explores where my head was, if I even remember, because some of these are from 20 years ago. Explores some political stuff, explores some religious stuff, explores just random nonsense in my head. But I'm one of those people, when something pops in my head, I just kind of just speak it out loud, and I kind of just write it down, which is why I have to go back and edit stuff like over and over again a lot. Especially for lyric writing. Like, man, if anyone would have read like my first lyrics that I came up with, I guess it was 2022, the winter time of 2022, I became a night owl. I would wake up around 6 or 7, eat something, and then I'd stay up till about, 3, 4 in the morning, working on lyrics and putting songs together, organizing everything, albums. So if anyone would have read those first batch of lyrics, yeah, they were really bad. Like, maybe some of them are okay, because some of the albums I've worked on more than other ones in the past. So I had a basis of where to start from. But the majority of the ideas I never wrote lyrics for. So it became a problem because I was like, what was I even thinking about when I wrote these songs 20 years ago or 10 years ago? It became kind of a weird problem like that. But I got used to working at night. The night owl thing's kind of weird. It kind of turns you into a different animal, good and bad. Like I like working at night because it's almost like you're more peaceful at that point. So that was the main process when I put the actual audio files. I had like hundreds of audio files, somewhat organized, and I just had to put them into albums, what I felt like could work. These are only made with acoustic guitar, so I'm just imagining, oh, this could be a cool shoegaze song, this could be a cool rap song, this could be a cool soul song, this could be a cool heavy metal song. Of course, I can't perform all these styles of music. Like, who can do that? Maybe David Bowie could have done all that stuff. But can one performer do like rap, heavy metal, folk, country, and not be called like an imposter? Yeah. I don't think you have to like form a different persona. Like, it's crazy to think about. So I realize I can't perform this. I'm not a rapper. I can't do the hardcore punk screaming. I can't do heavy metal singing. You know, I never really tried, but I don't think I could really pull that off. But I don't let that limit me because I just prefer to call myself a songwriter and not like anything else. I'm not a performer. I've never been in a band. I'm just a songwriter. And that's all I'm sharing this as. Would I be able to perform some of these songs myself? Yeah, probably. But some of the easier folky songs that actually sound good with just an acoustic, I might be able to practice it enough. But I didn't want that to limit the sounds in my head, you know. I love shoegaze music. I love punk music. I love rap music. I love heavy metal, even though rap and heavy metal, I'm not very knowledgeable. But I have a pretty good basis of what I like in that genre and stuff. So I try to explore all these things. When a song pops in my head, I'm not going to be like, well, I can never perform that, so I don't want to explore this. I think that's a stupid way of looking at things. So yeah, and there's plenty of weird stuff in this book where I talk more like this and just rant and rant and rant. But I try to make notes to keep my thoughts somewhat organized. Well, going back to 2020, yeah, I had a lot of life changes. I ended up quitting smoking, and then I changed my diet to only eating like chicken, I think, or fish. And then I went to vegetarianism, maybe in late 2021. And then I went vegan in 2022, I guess. And that's where I've been on for 3 years now. I pretty much just live off of oats, nuts, fruit, vegetables, and typical beverages, cereal. Cauliflower is my main thing, man. I eat cauliflower like at least once a day or so. So I went on this vegan path. If you would have known me 10 years ago when I was drinking and smoking, gambling, then yeah, I would have never thought I'd be vegan. Like, I haven't had a piece of bread in like 5 years. I don't know what you call rice cakes. Is that bread? I don't know. Whatever. It's just, if you would have told me 10 years ago I would not have eaten meat or any kind of animal product, I would have thought you were crazy. And I would have laughed in your face. But that's where I am now over the last 3 years. So I went through a lot of changes in my physical health, mental health as well. It's all related. Mental health, physical health, it's all related. There's really not a difference anymore when I look at it. Your physical health and your mental health, your spiritual health, they're all connected. There's no real difference. But so it's been a weird path. I'm thankful for it. I always look back and like, was I a happier person before COVID, before 2020, or am I happier now? I go through this all the time in my head. It's just an endless debate because there were some things I was happier about back then. I'm happier I quit smoking. I'm happier, to not do some of the things I used to do before 2020. But it's a weird pros and cons thing for me. But I do know that the screenplays I wrote and the songs that are in his book in general, I would not have written if all these events didn't happen, which is weird. It's a weird way to look at your path. How did I get to this point? I explore a lot of this stuff in this book, but it's not all about this. There's some comedy stuff, and I try to make it light. Even when I talk about politics and religion, I'm just an idiot. I'm not a part of any political group. I'm not a part of any organized religion. I just like to keep my options open, I guess, and try to branch out and experience as much as I can or whatever. The other thing I had to do myself is the album artwork for these 54 albums, which I didn't know what I was going to do with that. One day I was like, oh, let me take a picture of my guitar in my bathtub, and that could be a cool album cover for something. So I took that picture, and it was terrible. And then I was like, yeah, I need to find better artwork. And just from that one little spark, because before then my Substack was boring. If you go on my Substack, now I have all the album artwork that I made over the last year or 2 years. But before that, it was just green squares and nothing else. So it was kind of boring. So I spent about 3-4 months forming photographs of the Magic Gardens in Philadelphia. I went there in 2018 and I took like hundreds of pictures. So I manipulated those pictures into art using some paint programs. And yeah, if you're ever in Philadelphia, go to the Magic Gardens, because I don't think I would have had any cool artwork if it wasn't for them. So I was able to make art out of other people's art. So yeah, I'm open about that. These are original creations, but they formed from another person's art. So yeah, I want to be clear. Not all of them. Some of them came from other pictures I took on road trips and stuff. But mostly it was from the Magic Gardens. Yeah, like I said quickly, I did start writing songs like around high school time because some of my friends were musicians too. But I never took it seriously. Even when I was writing songs in my 20s and 30s, I never took it seriously. I never thought I would write a book. I never thought I would do all this social media stuff because I don't like putting myself out there as like, at least in terms of sharing like your songs and poetry. Like, I don't even like saying the word poetry. Like you call yourself a poet and people get this impression of you like you're some sad, tormented soul. I'm a poet. I don't like terming myself that. I'd rather just say songwriter because that's all I'm trying to do is make cool stuff, The connotation to poet is like, oh, I'm a tortured soul. And I don't want to get around that. I said in the book, like everyone's a poet if you really think about it. If you've ever thought about existence and all these weird topics and doubted stuff and thought about the afterlife and all that stuff, well, then you're a poet too. Everyone's a poet. It's kind of a weird thing to call yourself. In terms of the inspirations I've had in my life, it's been all over the place. Also in the book, I put maybe 18, I put a lot of lists. I forget how many. Like my favorite female vocalist, I listed 50 of them. My favorite guitarist, I listed 50 of them. My favorite, whatever. I kept making these lists to give people an idea of who inspired me. And also so I could thank these people. And I thought, well, maybe I should I had a thought the other night. I should email these people once the book is out, send them a free copy. Like, thank you for being a part of this journey or whatever. But I'm like, I don't know if people want me to do that. If I was a famous person, I'm not taking emails from people. If I was an agent of a famous person, I'm not going to do that. So I don't know how I'm going to handle the marketing side of this. Maybe this is my way of venting these ideas. But I would just market it like that. I'm just some unknown dude who likes to write stuff, whether songs or screenplays, and that's I've been doing that on the side. But ever since I got, fired from my job, I had all this time to actually put all these thoughts into some kind of organized chaos. That's what the book is. It's my version of organized chaos, that all the thoughts that came out of my head over the last few years. And I try not to censor myself in anything I do, even if my stuff is kind of dark and dreary. Like, I don't believe in censoring your thoughts. You have to explore like every side of your consciousness, whether you like it or not. It's the only way to kind of get somewhere and heal stuff. So I don't think anything's overly dark, but I explore some topics that in some of the albums that deal with COVID and post 2020 stuff. I don't want to take too long to make this video. It's really just to put something out there of why I wrote this book. And it's coming out May 1st. I don't know what I'm going to do with it besides putting it on Amazon. Before I wrote this anthology, I put it as individual songbooks. So each of these 54 books were individual songbooks on Amazon. And I sold like maybe 3 books. It wasn't very good. I don't expect to sell like 1 million copies of this one either. So right now I got one book on Amazon called The Gay Dinosaur Agenda. It's like a musical comedy satire. And I don't know where else to sell the anthology of my lyrics. So I'll probably just go on Amazon, and maybe I'll try something later, but I don't know yet. The book title is actually called The Hypothetical Poet, My Life and Lyrics, blah, blah, blah. Because I said, like, if you don't actually have a song, it's hard for other people to look at my writing as songs and not just like poetry or something. But they are songs. Like, I'm starting to explore that and share how the melodies go on my Substack page and stuff. So people get an idea. These aren't just words. They're actual songs with verses, choruses, and riffs and solos. And it's harder to do that because I have to get more technical about music. I never took any music classes, just YouTube videos and learning on my own. So I'm not very technical as a guitarist or anything. I always said, like, if I had a private property, you have to build a home studio. I would have to teach myself how to do a lot of stuff to actually produce music. But, I came this far, and I feel like if it took me 20 years to get to this point, it would probably take me another 20 years to actually make these things into music and not just words on paper, which is the ideal goal. Yeah, it's cool I'm very proud to have written a book and been brave enough to actually share this stuff with whoever actually reads it one day. Because before 2020, this was not in my head. Before 2022, I don't even think I was planning to do this, but it just turned out that way. It's a good experience to write a book, but I don't think I would do it again, to be honest. I said everyone's a poet and whatever, but most people don't share their thoughts with other people, with random strangers. Most people don't do that stuff. And it's probably healthier not to be that person. It's probably better not to share your thoughts with people, not to share certain things. I don't know. I wouldn't have done this before 2020. I know that much. So I'm already past 25 minutes doing this. I don't want to make it too long. And that's pretty much it. Like, where am I going to go after this? Like, from social media aspect and how I market this. Yeah, that's for another video to discuss with myself. Because I have these debates within my head all the time. Like, oh, what do you do now? I don't know. It's one of those things. If you don't have an agent, if you don't have a publisher, because, I'm doing this all DIY, and it's tougher when you're an unknown person. It probably works if you have people marketing you and people pushing you forward into people's headspaces. But so I don't know where it's going to go. And when I put this book on Amazon, I'll just see what happens. And I'm actually planning, because I've been nonstop for like I said, since 2021. I've been nonstop doing all this stuff. And I feel like come May 1st, I'm probably just going to get rid of the internet for like a month or two and see if that makes any difference, because I'm just drained. Like, after getting through the whole process of writing a book like this and emptying out your head, yeah, it's kind of draining. I'll probably end up deleting the internet, or getting rid of my internet for like a month or so. As soon as I put the book online, like, I don't want to see what happens after that point. So my plan right now is to put the book on Amazon on May 1st, and then just get off for like a month and not even think about anything. And other than that, I guess I'll go back and see how it did. And yeah, there's not much I can do besides that. Like, I'm making this video, it's more of just a venting therapy session to at least describe what this process was like. I've never tried to do a book ever in my life, man. This was the first time I was like, hey, let's write a book. And it was a crazy process. Sharing stuff that I never thought I would share. And I never thought I would share any of my songs. Like, yeah, I used to do it in my younger days. I would get drunk, or I would get high. I'd be like, hey, I wrote this song. And I wouldn't have a problem sharing it with people I knew, at least. But sharing it with strangers, yeah, that's a different experience. But if you're going into that field, or if you have aspirations to be an artist of any type, you gotta just put that judgmental, stuff away. I'm trying not to curse, because I curse all the time. I don't know how YouTube does it with curse words. I'm trying to censor myself. I'm still not sure if they care about curse words or not. And I don't know, that's about it. I just wanted to give a brief explanation of why I wrote this book. What's in the book: 54 albums of lyrics, over 400 some songs, and prefaces that open up each chapter describing what the concept album is about, because these are all like concept albums. I try to give it a common theme, and whether it's a science fiction story or something else weird. There's a few albums that are actually like, could be made into screenplays, could be made into graphic novels one day. There's one called Waitress from Mars, about like a science fiction story. There's one called Songs from the Rhine, which is more of like a folklore story, medieval stuff. And there's one called The Vulture Prince, which I plan to kind of make into a children's book, actually. But it could also be made into some kind of an animation or something. It's a morality tale. So those specific albums also have like a short story attached to it, because it is a story. Especially Waitress from Mars could be like a feature-length screenplay. I just never got around to doing that. I came up with that probably 20 years ago. I just never came around to working on it as a screenplay. But yeah, maybe sometime in the future, I guess. But yeah, I'm at a half an hour, so I'm just gonna cut this off now. But maybe I'll make another one of these later on when I go through the edit again. I'll go through the book edit again and see where I'm at that point. And yeah, that's about it.